the problem is with men mostly, but like, so it makes it makes sense for you to want to include them, right, in the solution. So that makes a lot of sense. And what else? I think, yeah, I think that's it. I completely agree with her. But also, it's the same way when a woman comes to Twitter and then she maybe said something about feminism or about women or men, and obviously Nigerian men will be under the tweet, tearing their boxers and fighting. But then, if a if a man comes to tweet the same thing, they'll be under the tweet and be saying one Gouda for you, or whatever nonsense they say, one beer for you, but just doing. And I'm like, she literally just said that though. Like, what are you talking about? She literally just said the same thing. So men definitely listen to men more. Like, the man can take your script and say it word for word. And then be like, yeah, you're right. Oh my God, you're so smart. Einstein level shit. Like, and I'm like, she literally just said that. What are you even saying? So do you get? So like, I agree with her. Men listen to men more, which is why we need men to amplify, the cause and the voices, because a lot of times men don't pay attention to women. They don't even think women should be speaking in the first place. So why would they listen to you? Do you get? So yeah, I completely agree with her.
I agree with everything. The one comment I'll make, because sometimes, maybe this is off script, but I don't think Barack Obama is a good feminist. It's just, like, I think when you think of like, you can't bomb women and children in the Middle East, West Asia, North Africa, and
James,
call that person a
cannot
feminist.
edit this part out. You cannot be the person bombing women and children in the Middle East and in West Asia and say you're a feminist. No. Like, when we talk about war and conflict, who suffers the most? Usually conflict wars started by men in rooms who will never go fight. Usually younger men die fighting, and then women and children just die, not even fighting, just living. And someone like Obama is at the head of the biggest war machine on the planet. So that cannot be a feminist. I have to, yeah, that's the one thing I would add. Because when we talk about feminism, we have to, like, it has to be inclusive. It has to include women in all parts of the world. It has to include women from all social strata. And so, yeah, that's the one thing I would add. Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like, I don't know much about that part of the story, but yeah, I think like the major thing is this, right? Is like, at the end of the day, it is a fight for justice, right? That's like the major takeout. Like, at the end of the day, it's a fight for justice, and then everybody needs to get on board. Like, everybody needs to get on board. Be a man, whosoever you are, be a child, whatever you are, you need to get on board. You need to get with the movement, right? It's like, you need to be like I just don't get it. Like, for me, I feel like some things just don't make sense to me. Like, I don't know about, like, I don't talk about my religious things, but like, I feel like at some point in life, I was like agnostic, because I felt like the Bible was a little bit patriarchal. And I was like, this does not just subscribe to me.
A little bit.
What is it?
I said, did you say a little bit? Just a little bit.
I mean, like, I don't want to talk about that in detail, but I feel like it was a little bit patriarchal, and I was like, this doesn't make sense to me, right? So for me, I think that it's high time men start holding other men accountable. Like, I think that's like the major takeout. Like, men need to start holding other men accountable, and this is starting, as James said, we start from like interjecting discussions, right? Any discussion that is just really stupid, just interject them. And then, like, feminists should not apologize for being feminists. Like, I don't get it. Like, I cannot apologize to you because I'm Black or because I like to eat at 10 p.m. Leave me alone. Like, let me survive, right? So it's like,
there's no apology for these things.
I
And then,
have one thing to say. If you were Dave, you'd have been labeled as the angry bitter man.
I know, and I feel like people say this a lot that feminists are angry, and I'm like, yes, they don't need to give you explanation for being angry, right? It's like you're
Hey,
maltreating.
if you don't even, if you can't see why feminists are angry, then you're definitely the
Yeah,
problem. That's, that's
I
it.
know. That is what I've like. I think it's like a major thing. Like, if you cannot see why feminists are angry, that's 100% spot on, okay? Like, if you cannot see why feminists are angry, then you are the problem. Like, you need to fix yourself. Like, that's what I was like. You need to
Yeah.
fix yourself. And then, to be honest, I feel like if you are open-minded, you would look at these things, right? I think like this is something that we need to learn a lot more about being open-minded, right? You need to like look at other perspectives, right? What do other perspectives look like? Do you understand what I'm saying? So like, what do you guys think are like major like? I think like we had like a really great discussion, but also we need to like I think wrap up because some people may be a little bit busy. But just like in terms of like major takeaways or things that really stood out for you or things that could change, like what would you think of like takeaways? And I really like
All right.
sorry,
Okay, go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead.
I really loved all our perspectives. Like I really like I took down so much notes and it really made sense to me. Like Ronke spoke about women not having to like apologize to you or other stuff, and that was really great. And then Adora spoke about education. That is like one of the major problem in Nigeria. Is like our education system is just like a mess. Like not I won't say a mess, but I think that we teach people sciences very well, but then we actually just teach social education in the wrongest way. And I think I have a serious problem with that because we need to do like a lot of unlearning. Like I cannot tell you how much unlearning that we have to do in our educational sector. So yeah. And then one thing that stood out for me mainly for James is like James really spoke about men talking to themselves a lot more, right? And I think that is like the onus is on us men to start having those discussions with other men, right? So yeah, any other takeaway? Like what do you guys think?
Takeaways. I don't know if I would say takeaways, just like some points to note for anyone that is listening or watching. And the first one is there's no such thing as head of the house. Let me just tell you. Number one, don't let anybody. It's a lie. Don't listen to that. Number two, men are women's biggest enemies. Don't allow anybody to come and tell you, oh, women are women's worst. Like, shut up. Men are women's worst enemies, and men are men's worst enemies as well. And nobody's your head. Yeah, like you're not. There's no woman that's your neck. You already have a neck. Like, are you mad? I don't understand. What? So yeah, those
I
are
love
just
Ronke.
those are just like a
It keeps
few
it
things
real.
that I see flying on Twitter, on the internet, and I'm just like, what is this? So yeah, that's it. But aside that, I really enjoyed this session. So thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Adora.
Okay. For me, it would be that people need to learn to question themselves. Like question why you think certain things, why you do things, question why things are the way they are. So that you know how you of course keep saying that things are obvious or they're obvious. They're obvious to you because you've thought about it. You looked at it and said, why is this thing like this? Why can't it be the other way? But for someone that has never thought about it, that you're just operating on autopilot, it wouldn't be obvious to you. So the main thing is that people should learn to question rules, regulations, thought processes, things that happen in society. And make sure that if you're standing on a side, you understand why you're on that side and you stand by it. But if you're just following the head without questioning anything, then I don't know what kind of life you're living.
Yeah.
So that's different. And then it was interesting discussing with everybody. So Adolphus gave me a let's say disclaimer that James was a little what's the word he used? I don't know what the word was. So I was expecting like some radical,
No.
I mean, he's even further advanced than some of
Yeah. I know, right? I know. Because like when I said that, like I feel like my discussions with James have always gone really 3 hours analyzing one thing that is meant to be small. And I was like, yeah, James is a little bit controversial. So let us see how this goes.
I mean, I think the only controversial viewpoint I have in relation to this is, I mean, when people talk about inclusion, I think it's always important to look at what are we including people in. And the example that is easy to give is like trans rights in the United States, for example, where Trump does not says no trans people in the army, and people are like, no, trans people must be allowed to join the army. But the question is, what does the US Army do? Go around and bomb brown and black people. So why are we fighting for people to be able to join a military force that is killing people who look like me? So this is like, I guess that's the most controversial. Like, we shouldn't fight for people to be included in everything because some things are horrible. That's the only controversial viewpoint I have. Some things are horrible, and instead we should fight for those things to be destroyed completely, rather than everyone should be included in. Like, I mean, like the like colonization. We should be fighting for women. Imagine under colonization, fighting for women colonial officers to go and boss around Africans. Like, so this is the only, like, it matters what you're talking about. We shouldn't fight for people to be included in horrible institutions. It's the only controversial viewpoint I have. I don't know, but like, I like more about the takeaway, right? It's like, yeah, I agree with everyone. And it's just like a lot of, like, I think just trying to reverse roles, and most men would realize that the relatively within a narrow context, because some people, sometimes it's difficult to see the privilege you have. Like, if you're very poor and you're from a tribe that is discriminated against, it's difficult to see your privilege. But if you focus on a narrow context, you can see that even within your homes, chances are there was a lot of labor that was feminized, and the labor wasn't appreciated. Like, women are cooking, women are keeping the house running, but it's not even acknowledged. It's just, of course, you. So just even from a very, very basic level, you can start to see these things, and also just role reversal, and just see, if I was the one in the situation, how would I feel? And this is my whole life. Like, we're just talking about the situations you know about, not the situations that are hidden to you, because we have partial knowledge of the oppression that women go through as men. We don't see everything. So just trying to see things from this perspective and moving your thinking a little from very static, old, and not just oppressive kind of thinking. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. I think that that's like really spot on. Like, I think I just had like too much takeaways. It's like people need to like question things. Like, Adora was like extremely spot on, and like I think like the Nigerian society, or like the education system in Nigeria, like, do not make people question things. Like, you just like tell me to cram things or do these things. I'm like, why? So like, I've always been like questioning every single thing. I'm just like, why? This does not make sense. And I think that's, for me, if I'm going to be like close with you, I need it to be like, I have a backbone, right? Be intellectually curious, right? Make me see the logic. Make it make sense to me, right? So yeah, that's something that is really, really interesting. And then the role reversal thing is like extremely spot on, right? It's like, that does not, like, you need to do that. Like, you need to see yourself in the other situation. Like, if you see yourself in the other situation, maybe you'll be able to think more as to the whys, right? If you see yourself being a woman, for example, you would be able to think more as to the whys. And then, to be honest with you, men, you are not the head of any family. To be very honest with you, like, I'm just going to say this. Like, I'm going to say this. I'm very sorry. Like, Nigerian men, I'm saying this. I'm saying the truth. Like, Ronke said this, and I'm going to say it again. You are not the head of any family. The only head that you are is your head. Like, you are your only head. Like, it just does not make
Hey, you're
sense.
the head of your body.
You are the head of your body.
Well, I have to ask, is it Adeboye that talks about the neck, women being the neck and men being the head? I think I've
Yeah,
heard
It's not
that
just
from
him.
Adeboye.
It's just
all
that's
all
the story.
religious leaders. It's like
Talk
you're not
about-
even, you've already said men, a man is the head. You did not stop there. You not say a woman is the neck. Can you just like are you are you kidding me? Like, you've not said enough. Stop forcing me to be a neck. I don't want to be the neck. I don't get. Is it my fault? I don't get. Like, anyway.
It's yeah. Some attitudes are just horrible. It's really funny. I came across a thread by him, and he said his wife clips his nails, and I was like, man.
That's like, if they do that, that's fine, James. That is fine by like.
No, but
that's
you do not
fine.
talk. Look. I can clip my partner's nails.
Is it only necks that clip nails? Like, I don't understand. Is that like a neck job description? Like, your partner can do that for you. It doesn't mean I'm neck or like,
Yeah.
you get.
I can pick someone's, like, I can pick a partner's nails and they can pick my, like, just out of love and care. But he was talking about like the duty, picks my nails, will never challenge me. But I was like, what? So yeah, some views are just like, they're not even worth.
Like, you're not the neck.
Yeah.
You're the child. You're a child. Like,
Yes. Like you're trying to have your partner be your mother. Like,
do you understand?
Yeah.
I mean, like, I feel
So I
like,
have
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
I have something different from what we're discussing now. It came to my mind before, but I forgot. So another side of this whole equality discussion is, well, I say, in kind of in the negative. So like, people expect women to be good. So like, they don't think of them as people that can commit crimes or do bad things. They just have this intention.
Yeah.
I mean, it works for our favor, but if we're fighting the system, let's fight the whole thing. So
Yeah.
that's another way. Women be allowed to be bad too. And let the consequence be fair. Don't punish them more than you would for the situation just because, like, how can you do that?
Yeah. And that also speaks to like feminism as well. It's like, you have to be perfect. If you're a feminist, like, you have to be good in all areas of your life. It's like, oh, look at this babe, she's wicked, but you call yourself a feminist. Or maybe you don't like one woman and like, you're a feminist. And I'm like, I don't have to be perfect to be a feminist, right? Just like the same way I don't have to be perfect to deserve equal rights. So it's like any small thing, maybe if you disagree with a woman, just people will just come and start attacking you and you call yourself a feminist, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, they're not, like, these things are not mutually exclusive. So like, what are you really saying? But yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, like, I feel like that's really spot on. I swear to you that I can relate to that 100%. Like, number one, I am black in a country that is not black, and I feel like every day I have to work hard to be like perfect, because like, do you understand what I'm saying? So, and I feel that's like the same way for women. Like, people expect women to be like 100% perfect. They need to be mothers. They need to be career driven. They need to be this and that. And I'm just like, that you need to allow people to make mistakes. Like, we are all human beings, right? We need to make mistakes, learn from our mistakes, and all these things. Like, the pressure is too much on women. Like, I can imagine a woman going back home from, like, I think it's like a discussion I've had with James before, and it's like really, really annoying and making me angry. I'm like, imagine a career woman that is getting back home by like 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. and then your husband is like, why didn't you make me dinner? I'm like, that is extremely stupid of you. Like, don't you have hands? Like, did your hands cut? Like, what does that even mean? Like, yeah, a woman is stressed out from work and then you are still expecting her to make a dish for you. Like, so I feel like these are things that this society expects too much from women. They need to be perfect. They need to be motherly. They cannot be sexually liberated. They cannot be doing this, but men are giving like the pass. Like, men, you have to do this. Nobody cares if you are drinking every day and not being responsible, but women don't have that liberty. So I think like it's a lot happening and a lot has to change. Like, to be honest with you, like, that's really spot on. Like, this is really touching to me. Like, this is really emotional to me because this is like a very, yeah, James, sorry, go for it.
I think you're about to end. That's why I raised my hand.
No, I was not ending. Sorry, I'm not ending.
Okay.
I think we can talk as long as you want, but I'm just like, whenever you guys are tired, I'm here. So yeah, I feel like
I have like what Rinka said about like I think that's the most common thing I've seen when women who are feminists, or they say they're feminists, do some other wrong thing, and then people hound them on Twitter for hypocrisy. Hypocrisy is part of the human condition in many ways, and it's so that's very common. It's extremely common, at least on Nigerian Twitter. I see it all the time. It's just
Yeah, that is like a lot happening. Like I feel like Nigeria needs to like unlearn a lot. Like Nigeria is a very hypocritical society. Nigeria is also very misogynistic, and I think there's a lot of unlearning that every single person needs to do. And then I've been in Nigeria like all my life, and when I was in Nigeria, I always like questioned everything, and I really like I feel like I felt like I was like one of the people that just did not like anything. Like I was just like, why? This does not just make sense. Why? Like why? Why can't women go back home late at night? Why must women be the ones cooking? Like what is it? Like can they just breathe? Can they survive? Like can they survive? And then to be honest with you, like I feel like my favorite colleagues have been like I feel like the people that I've been closer with are like women. Like my manager was a woman, was one of my managers was a woman, and I love that so much. Like it's like I don't think women should shrink themselves, or you should have a perfect definition of a woman just because they are women. Women should make mistakes. I don't know, like that's really spot on. I think like I'm too passionate about this, and it's getting in the way. But yeah, anyway, yeah. What do you guys like? Do you guys have any other takers, or what do you think, James? What do you think? I know you have so many controversial things to say.
no,
But
I don't. But one thing that was interesting, you said like your favorite colleagues were women, and a lot of the time, like it's just very important to note that that's labor many times. Like many times, women also provide emotional like care and support for people.
yeah,
It's completely unrewarded, because I mean we deal in a system where productivity, so it's completely unrewarded, and it also detracts from the time that they can be so-called productive. So I mean it's just like there's so much labor work that is feminized, seen as, and not seen as real work. But that work many times is very important to the functioning of society. I
right.
mean, so it's just another example. And often it will hurt women's careers because women are expected to do this work. And
Yeah,
it's not like the work itself is bad. The problem is men almost never do this work. Men don't provide emotional support. Emotional support ends at alcohol, and that's the end. And you can focus on your career specifically. So it's almost, so then you start seeing things like gender imbalance in promotion, and they'll say, oh, our metrics are objective. They are purely objective. And the man did more than the women. But sometimes the man is doing more than the women because the woman is doing things that you don't care for and don't reward, but are very crucial to the functioning of the organization. So that happens. So you see things like this. Yeah, and yeah.
Can you imagine like planning events, welfare, all those kind of
yeah,
things that look like placating difficult clients or customers, all these things, they all help, but then people don't see them as a big deal. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, you're right.
yeah. That's
I
like
think, yeah, that what James said also speaks to like even like men, the progression of careers for men that are married and women that are married. It's very evident in that, because like as a married man who probably has a wife, maybe a stay-at-home wife who does everything for him, he's able to focus on his career, right? But a woman who is married has to still go home and do like majority of the house chores and the domestic work. So it's more difficult for her to focus on her actual job. So yeah, it definitely makes sense that a lot of times married men tend to like climb up the ladder easily because they're not worried about other things that they should be worried about in their own homes. So yeah, definitely, I agree.
extremely spot on. Like I feel like you guys are like the best people to have these discussions with, because like I do like a lot of learning. Like I feel like there are like so many great takeaways, and I feel like men really need to like step up. Like I think that this is something that I've said before. I feel like men really need to step up, and starting from your families, right? You need to teach your male kids how to cook. You need to teach your male kids how to take care of the family. you need to teach your male kids these things, right? Because that's where charity begins. You do a lot of these learnings at home. Like being a woman does not come with a manual that says, hey, because I'm a woman, I should be the one planning events, being the one that is emotional support for everybody. No, men can also do that, right? So I think we need to have like a balance in the system. Like it is, I totally agree, it is systemic. Like growing up in Nigeria, it is systemic. I would totally agree with you. Like it is also weird in Nigeria that people think that PhD, like women should not get PhD because they would they would dominate men, or no man would want to marry you because you are too smart, or no man would want to marry because they are making too much money. And I'm like, if a man doesn't want to marry because you are too smart or you're making more money than him, then you don't deserve that man. Like that man is not worth you, right? Like you should not do that, right? So it's like those are like things I'm saying. Like I think you should go into a marriage with someone that would inspire you, not someone that is going to be threatened by your success. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Something I also like find really weird is like as a woman, as soon as you get married and you become a missus, they kind of like literally just tie it like a rope around your neck. Like even if you become a doctor, it's like Doctor Mrs. Professor Mrs. And I'm like, what is this? Like what does that even mean? Why can't I just be a doctor? Like it doesn't make any sense. Like there's always like that classification of, oh, you're this, but you're a married woman as well. Don't forget that. So we're going to call you Dr. Mrs. Right? It's ridiculous. Like I remember one time I went on client side to do like a job, and then the guy came and they called me a female hacker. And I called him a male banker, and he was so shook. And I'm like, why are you shocked, though? Like, I don't understand. Like, so do you see how that could be weird? It was like, oh yeah, I see it now. So sometimes people do things and they don't really think about it. They just do it because, well, they think that's the right thing to do. So we definitely have to like question ourselves and why we do the things or say the things that we do, for sure. So yeah.
100% agree with you. I feel like when you say like female CEO, I'm like, what does that mean? Like, I know it's kind of like ingrained in the system, but that is not just right. Like,
Oh my
let these things
gosh,
happen.
CEO. Oh my god. What is
Yeah, like
CEO? You guys, just kill me.
like
Kill me.
it
What?
just kills me, and I'm just like, this does not make sense. It's like these are things that we need to like unlearn a whole lot and change the status quo, because we cannot be better if we keep on like saying this type of terrible things, or we keep on having that same mentality, right? So yeah, it's kind of like crazy. Like everybody needs to do better, to be honest. Like, and I feel like actually have a problem with people saying Mrs. Like, I feel like that should not exist. Like, what does that mean? Like, but that's a topic for another day. Huh?
That's a whole different topic for
Yeah, that's a
another
whole
day.
different
So I
topic.
didn't want to get into it because what?
That's a whole different
Okay.
topic. But yeah,
Give me a second. I need to get my charger. Just
I posted the relevant photo.
yeah, I saw the photo and I'm just like, okay, let's not talk about. Like, I feel like I feel like these are like discussions that people need to have. Like, I feel like, to be honest, Nigerian men. This message is for Nigerian men, and I'm going to let you guys know this and repeat this after me. You are not the head of the family. Number one. Number two, you need to know that the only head that you are is the head of your body, not anybody's. You are not the head of any woman or anybody. Know that. And then I think Nigerian parents, please, Nigerian parents, stop telling your male kids to save your stop telling your female kids to save your male kids food. That is not right. Like, men have hands, let them use their hands to make their food. Yep. Okay. So I think we can wrap up, or if there are like any other interesting text, we can do like one or two more. But I think so many people are busy this Saturday. So let's see, like, are there any other things that we should be aware of, or we can wrap up in like 2 or 3 minutes? Yeah, James
I'm
said
going to
it.
ask if anyone has any. I mean, because this is like a conversation, right? So if you have any material, podcasts, books that you think are helpful to people just that you engage with and you find interesting? Because like personally, I learn a lot from listening to podcasts. I don't read. I listen to a lot of podcasts and that helps me.
Yeah, that's like an interesting question. So I think like for me, something that has really shaped my journey has been Chimamanda. I think we spoke about her a lot, but to be honest, I know some people don't like her, but I really like listening to her. I like listening to her perspective about things, and she has really shaped my perspective over time. But I'm currently reading this book that my friend gave to me. It's called The Genius of Women. Yeah, so I'm going to start reading this very soon. So I'll see what learnings I can get from that. And yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have any things or podcasts to share with James?
Not the podcast, no. To be honest, a lot of things that I learned, I learned from, or I still learn from Twitter, to be honest. That's like my major source of on learning. But there's a website. There's a website called thegirlslikeme.com.
The girls are what?
I was going to mention that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Girls Like Me is a website. I don't know if you know Doreen Calvin. I hope that's how to pronounce her name. Yeah, she has a website with her sister, and it's really, really good. You should check it out. There's a lot of articles by women just talking about like the things that women face, what they go through, just things like that. So yeah, you should definitely check it out. I love that website.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so that was the same page I was going to recommend as well. Although I follow them on Instagram, so I've gone to their website
Yeah,
and so I know that they regularly post like articles and stories and things like that. And their Instagram, they bring like screenshots of tweets or conversations to discuss, and just post like uplifting things in general and quotes from like women that have made it so far. So yeah, that's a good place to learn.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just going to wrap up with takeaways and then we can wrap up. So I'll go first. I think my last 3 words for men, because I'm a man. So, okay, my first word is for man, then for men, then the second one is for Nigerian family. So I think number one, Nigerian men, I'm going to say this a third time, but I need you to understand and get comfortable with the fact that you are not the head of any family. Like, we need to get comfortable with that discussion, right? Repeat this after me. I'm not the head of any family. The only head that I am of is my body. That's the first part that Nigerian men need to understand. Then the second part that Nigerian men need to understand is that we need to start having these uncomfortable discussions with our friends, right? We need to interject them when they're being misogynistic or anything. We need to have these conversations and make sure that everybody knows this is not good, right? We need to, men listen to men a lot more. We need to do that. Then the last part of my last 3 things is Nigerian families, Nigerian parents, stop telling your female children to save your male children food. Stop it. Stop it. It is not good. Let men use their hands to make their own food.
They do that?
Specific.
Yeah, they do that a lot.
Okay.
That's like they do that a lot. Like, so many Nigerian parents do that a lot. Like, they tell their daughters to take care of their brother, basically. I'm like,
oh, okay.
That doesn't make sense. Any last thing from you guys? Anything to say?
Thank you for putting this together and for
yeah,
thank
but
you.
yeah.
And thank you for sharing your thoughts and opinions.
Okay, thank you so much. This has really been exciting. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Bye, everyone. I'm going to upload this and tag you guys, but I may need to like edit some of the noise and all those things. Okay, James is speaking. Sorry.
Bye.
You're just waiting.
Okay, bye.
Wait, Adolphus?
Yeah.
Where is it going? Where are you uploading to?
I would tell you.
Okay, great.
Tell us. Bye.
Bye.